What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Saturday, everybody. I hope you had a great Friday. If you drank or something and you're hungover, get some birria tacos, get some electrolytes, you'll be fine. If you're like past 35 or something, just be careful. It's not the same. Your body doesn't respond the same. So do with that what you will. Yesterday, I was on a live stream with Clint Weldon at the night shift. And when we were talking, Area 52's Chris Ramsay was on the chat. And at the same time, he released an interview with Whitley Strieber. To those who don't know who Whitley Strieber is, he is a writer, best selling author who wrote a book that became part of the cultural movement of the UFO community. It is called Communion. And on the cover, there is one of these gray aliens with the eyes and everything. And there was a lot of people who saw that face and they had this gut reaction to it as if they had seen it before. And many of them claimed that their memories started coming back. And many of them already remembered what happened. This is when the abduction experience took like the center stage back in the 80s. It had been happening like two decades prior to that, but it became really popularized after that book. And even though it was popularized, it was still, and still today is, one of the most difficult conversations to have, because who wants to talk about some beings abducting people, and in some cases children, to run experiments on them? Nobody wants to talk about that in the real world, if you get what I mean. One of the most important moments of this conversation happened when Whitley Strieber talked about Jake Barber. And this really called my attention because I've been talking about this really positive feeling that Jake Barber felt, this divine feminine energy that Jake Barber felt. And that is something that I felt when I had my near death experience. It is very similar to that. So I felt identified with that. But Mr. Whitley Strieber, who claims to have been talking for decades with what he calls the visitors, he says that this feeling that Jake Barber had is because of a weapon that was used against him. And it's not necessarily a weapon that can hurt him, it's a weapon that can manipulate him. And this goes back to the whole lore written by John Keel, Jacques, and Patrick Harper about this phenomenon being able to control people's perception. It also ties to the three body problem series and the books, because in that series and books, this phenomenon can play with, for example, they turn on and off the entire sky as if it was just a light bulb. And that tells me that this phenomenon could indeed have control over our perception abilities and also our senses. So when Jake felt that, we should keep the door open for it to be just a tool of manipulation by the phenomenon against us, to just turn us into subservient beings and not fight, not resist. I find that really, really interesting, compelling, and even scary. I do want to ask in person to Whitley what makes him say that. And if these visitors told him about this, how was the conversation? I want to know. That'd be really cool. So let me show you what Whitley said, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more because I have some news about that. So here's Whitley Strieber on Area 52. You guys got to go watch the entire episode. It's fascinating. Kudos to Chris Ramsay because he's always like very thorough, and you can tell that he's been reading the material. You can tell he reads the books, and that is always very refreshing from any content creator who does this, or any type of content creation. You got to study everything. You got to get yourself informed before you dive into something or you do an interview. And I applaud Chris Ramsay for this. So here's Chris and Mr. Whitley Strieber talking about Jake Barber's experience of feeling the divine feminine.
Even Jake Barber is in it. Without knowing it, Jake Barber is, of course, the guy who has been out recently on Insider, and he's engaged in various ways with the phenomenon.
Yeah.
On the secret side, so he says.
What do you make of that?
One of the things Jake Barber said was that he had experienced being possessed by a very, what felt to him like a very sacred feminine presence. And he then said, I don't feel ontological shock. I feel ontological relief. And Jake was engaged in aggressive actions toward the visitors. I know them well. I've been with them for years now. He was not possessed by any beautiful alien feminine presence. He was addressed by a weapon which changed his attitude from an aggressive attitude to a compliant attitude. Their weapons don't necessarily hurt you physically. They alter your perceptions of them in such a way that you can be much more malleable and much more controllable, but also much more present to the reality of them, which is that they're not aggressive here. They're not trying to take over. It's the last thing they want to do. They're here looking for companionship. If they wanted to take over, they could have done that in 10 minutes, years and years ago. But the problem they have is, how do they expose themselves to us as they are and still enable us to maintain our own sense of value? The problem, the issue is cultural colonization, it's called. Like when the Europeans went out during the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries into the rest of the world, possessing higher level technology of all sorts, one culture after another either fell to them or became completely directed toward them, because, their pots and pans were made of pottery, and suddenly here these people were with fabulous cannons and rifles and swords and pots and pans made of metal and ships that could go around the world. They didn't care about their stuff anymore. They wanted that. And this is exactly what's happening right now when you have like the Skywatcher people going out with their technology and their psionics, trying to draw in and attract UFOs. And I think to myself, gee, didn't we do that in New Guinea back in World War II, when the New Guinea natives saw the planes landing and they built their own bamboo planes and their bamboo refrigerators and walked back and forth between them, making funny noises, thinking that it sounded like what they heard the airmen doing, and then opened the bamboo refrigerators hoping for beer to come out. We're not, we gotta have a bigger picture here.
Wow.
Yeah. I find Whitley extremely fascinating. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Whitley. I've been talking to Whitley. I'm part of one of his chats, and I asked him to be on the show, and he said yes. So he's going to be on the show on Tuesday. You can expect that. But we've been talking a lot, and his book, The Fourth Mind, I read it all, is his most recent work. And he goes into a full circle kind of moment, because he realized, according to him, that our capabilities are also something that needs to be paid attention to. And it's something that needs to be rediscovered. According to him, he believes that the visitors are trying to help us reach that fourth mind. I don't know if that's true. I do know that we do have capabilities. Whether the intention of these visitors is benevolent or not, to me, that still remains to be seen. But I do think that this phenomenon does have the capability of manipulating our perception. Unless we realize that and we learn how to control it so we can block that, this is going to keep happening. And that's why I'm not sure that the Skywatcher people know exactly what they're doing. Because, yeah, when you feel like that, the way Jake Barber felt, you can see the vulnerability that he expressed. And any sentient life form that is more advanced than humans and doesn't have a benevolent intent would use some kind of a manipulation tactic like that to make us extremely vulnerable to them. So we need to be aware of that. And that's why I think that John Keel and Jacques Vallée are the two biggest figures in ufology, because they understood that perfectly, almost scarily accurate for me. I wonder if they had some of those experiences too. And I wonder if they also had some type of communication with this non human intelligence that made them realize, well, yeah, this thing can make me think whatever they want, or make me see whatever they want, or make me feel however they want. And that is scary. Even if they don't have ill intent, like Whitley says, I don't want any entity controlling my feelings, my thoughts, and my actions. Why would I want that? So I guess I'll talk to Whitley and he will explain it better. But for now, I do differ with him in that. Another good news is that I've been showing Whitley Dr. Jacobo Grinberg's work, and he's fascinated by it. So we're going to talk about that. And I am so excited about that because I do believe that his book connects directly with Jacobo's work. And I was really surprised, but pleasantly surprised, that he didn't know about Jacobo, but he was really excited about him. And I already sent him a lot of material that he's been reading and watching and about Jacobo. And he's also eager to talk about it because this is new to him. So expect a wonderful conversation between Whitley Strieber and myself on the Psicoactivo podcast. Let me know what you think about Whitley's idea that these visitors are using some sort of technology or weapon to manipulate our perception. Let me know what you think about that. And let me know what you think about that reaction Jake Barber had on television, where he cried and you could see the vulnerability. It was very similar to my near death experience. And I know that a lot of people experienced something similar as well. And they felt really connected with Jake. I wonder what's that about. Let me know in the comments. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you can get notified when new video drops. If you want to support the channel in any other way, you can become a member. You can be part of the KGRA family, or you can also pick a link. Whatever you choose is always appreciated. Thank you for your support. And that's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember to stay curious. Remember to stay inquisitive. Bye.